All right, everybody, we are live, and I'm coming to you with a trial to watch. So, with the Teresa Black trial over, I'm going to be doing some post-trial coverage. I only covered the first day of it. We're going to be watching the opening statements of a case out in Minnesota that involves the killing of a school board member. It started yesterday, so we're going to be starting out watching yesterday's coverage today. Obviously, the trial's continuing, but we're going to get caught up watching yesterday's coverage, which begins with the opening statements. And we'll watch that, and then we'll move into today's coverage and get that broadcast out as well. So let's jump into the courtroom, guys. Pick up where this left off here, or get started here with the opening statements of the state. And then, of course, we'll be offering commentary as we go, discussing this case, discussing all the aspects of the case and everything that's going on with it. So let's check it out, guys. Let's jump in.
Your parent, that's where he was coming from. So this is what he did. The victim then went to the defendant's work and said, hey,
The opening or the beginning of this video of the feed begins in the middle of the state's opening, so I apologize for that.
His child would not be exposed to this guy, or convince these folks, Marva, the defendant, to agree to the no contact. Okay, that's all he wanted. To stay away from my son. He went to his work, talked to them about how he's a sex offender. The victim posted on social media about how he's a sex offender. I think he called him a pedophile. He put all this ugliness out on the internet, hoping that this would convince Marva, okay, I'll keep it separate. We won't let Sabir be around my new boyfriend. Still didn't work. What he does next is that he has a confrontation. No fighting, no fisticuffs, but at a football game, high school football game, the defendant goes to, I guess, talk to the victim at the football game. The victim and them have a couple words, probably not super pleasant. There's no fighting or anything. They walk away, nothing comes up. Eventually, the victim decides enough is enough. He goes, he files a motion with the court. And that would be back in, you're going to hear that's back in September or October of 2022. He files it with the divorce court and says, look, I'm just asking for no contact with this man. She's only known him for about 6 months, 9 months. It's not the child's father. He's on the sex offender registry for an offense with a child. Not comfortable with it. Marvin's upset about it. She gets upset about all this. The victim uses lots of ugly words with her, as you can imagine. Calls her a lot of names. Says, I can't believe you're not being reasonable. How can you let our son be around this guy? How can you think this guy is okay to be around our son? She shares all that with the defendant. She tells the defendant, attacks her in person, look, he's driving me crazy. The victim won't let me live my life. Won't let me make my own choices. There comes a time where they hear about this motion being filed, so they try to, Marva and the defendant tried to say, well, I'm not really living with the defendant. And if the child was not exposed to the defendant, the victim goes and follows him. He takes logs. Sabir, my son, is with the defendant or in the defendant's car this day. They're going to his house, things like that. So he has some evidence for the judge for when they go to court on the motion. people you will hear from that, I'm gonna file for full custody. I'm gonna get full custody. And Marva knew it. She knew that's what was gonna happen next. She wasn't willing to leave the defendant. She wanted her child to be with him. In fact, you'll hear that even on the day of the murder, December 19th, 2022, she is texting the defendant, "Hey, Spears says he misses you, Daddy." So she puts up a front. She pretends that she's living with someone else, a friend of the defendant's. She tries to work that out and switch residences with them. She goes and gets her driver's license changed to the defendant's friend's house. Even though she's not living there, she's still living with the defendant. She gets her mail delivered there so you can say, "Hey, Julius, hey, court, I'm compliant." All front. On December 12th, when we know the victim is saying he's going to fight for full custody, a week later he's dead. A week later. So, what happened, right? How did the murder happen? You're going to hear evidence in this case of exactly how it happened. You're going to hear about all the evidence that this is a premeditated, deliberate murder, planned out. You're going to hear that on December 19th, 2022, the defendant comes home from school. He's going to trucking school, driving school in Grand Rapids. He drives home. You're going to hear evidence that there is GPS location device on his phone and other data that we're able to get in the course of investigation that shows that he doesn't go straight home from school that night, the night of the murder. Instead, he drives by the victim's house, casing it. Now, he has no reason to drive by the victim's house. You'll hear from the evidence in this case that that's not the direct route to go home. That's not even close to the direct route to go home. He drives by the victims. The victim parks in his driveway, car's right there. And then he goes and picks up his accomplice, his unknowing accomplice, Deke. Goes by Deke, but they're allowed to call it that name. This guy's real name is Demetrius Moffett. He's an older gentleman, went to high school with the defendant, I believe. They've been buddies a long time. Deke is not like the defendant. He's not been here for a suit. He's been addicted to crack cocaine for many, many years. He's been struggling out with forever. He spends a lot of time in the park. He does favors for people in the area. The defendant, he's even done favors. He's gone to clean people's basements and maybe drive them places. He's even done that for the victim. He's known in the neighborhood. This is who the defendant chooses. He picks him up after he cases the victim. Then you hear from the evidence that they drive to the defendant's house, 2120 Reardon. That's where the defendant lived at the time. You'll see pictures of that location, the search warrant we did there. They go to that house. Now this is all about, I don't know, maybe about 6 o'clock at night-ish. He gets off school maybe by 4, cases the house, picks up Deke, goes to the defendant's house. When they get there, the defendant says, "Hey, I need to go check this guy." We're talking about, I'm talking about this Julius, Marva's baby's dad. "I need you to drive me in my car." Deke agrees to do it. Deke will tell you, I've heard the word check a guy before. That means like in front of him, have words with him, maybe set him straight, maybe threaten him, maybe, people tell you, "No way that he's going to go kill the guy." But, he was following, you'll see. He's not articulate. He's not, fancy or well-educated. But he will tell you that after they left the house, the defendant's house, Deke drove. He drove the defendant's vehicle. The whole time, the defendant's telling him where to go, where he wants him to take him. They start driving over to the victim's house, and the victim lived over in Baker. On the way over there, though, the defendant said, "Oh, I forgot a mask." Certainly at that point, you would think that he would be like, "Oh, what do you need a mask for?" But he doesn't. He does what the defendant says. You'll see on video that we pieced together after we got the information from Deke and other sources, like phone records and things like that. We've tracked down, the detectives have a lot of video from different locations and pieced it together about their routes. You'll see that. He says, I need a mask. So Deke drives around the block and goes to a liquor store he's been to many times, Broadway Liquor, not far from the scene. Goes into Broadway Liquor, parks a car. Deke goes inside. You'll see Deke on a video. I mean, that's really how we find them. Because we find a video with Deke around the time of the murder, goes to the scene, going to the liquor store. And the cops know who he is. He goes in the store, he buys a mask. You'll see that. You'll be able to tell that's Deke once you see him. He says, I need a cheap mask. He buys a mask. He says that the defendant gave him $2 to go buy a mask. The defendant stays in the car. He comes out with the mask. They drive on. They go over to the area. But they don't drive up to the victim's house. Like, if you're just going over there to have a word or two. Instead, the evidence is going to show that the defendant has Deke parked down the street. The defendant gets out and walks all by himself in the dark, in the snow, right over to the victim's house. They have arrangements that they've talked about ahead of time, deliberately, premeditatedly, for Deke to drive around to a certain spot around the block where the defendant will come and get picked up later, after it's done. After whatever it is that's going to happen is done. The defendant walks up to the victim's house. He knocks on the door. You'll hear that the victim is home at the time. At that time, it's approximately, let's say 7:30 or so. You'll hear the exact times when we talk to you from the officer with the video and the phones and things. But about 7:30 or so at night. At that time, the victim is home with his girlfriend, he was dating then. Her name is Angelique Pittman. You'll hear from her. She's home. She's there with visiting the victim, Julius. And Julius has one of his other children at the time, a 9-year-old Kadir. Okay, so it's just the victim, his 9-year-old, and his girlfriend, Angelique. Knock on the door. Julius goes to the door. You'll see from the pictures of his house that he has kind of like a little porch, like screened-in porch in front of his house. And so he walks away from his girlfriend and his 9-year-old. He goes to look out the window to see, on the screen porch, who is that? Who's there? It's dark. He says it 3 times. And then they hear a shot. And they hear more shots. Then this 9-year-old and this young gal, who's Angelique Pittman, the girlfriend, run to see what happened. And they see the victim leaned over on a chair with his head in the windowsill, almost hanging out the window, and he has been shot through the eye, right through the screen, right through the glass, right into his glasses, and right into his brain. He's also shot in the head. So you'll hear from the forensic pathologist who did the autopsy that he dies as a result of the gunshot wounds to his head. Blood's everywhere. She's frantic, as you would expect. You'll see some of the body cam where she calls 911, and then when the officer's on his way, you'll hear from Officer Bloomer, who's first on scene. And in his body cam, you can see she's frantic. It's over here, she flags him down. He's shot, I don't know if he's dead. They walk into the house, and you'll see the location, position of the body. You were able to piece that together with other pieces of evidence to see where he was and what he was doing at the time he was shot. Because no one sees the actual moment when he's shot. They just hear the shot, respond to him, and there he is. So you'll see some of that. It's not going to be pleasant, but it's evidence in the case, and you will see part of that body camera. There's zero evidence that the victim had any gun, any knife, was an aggressor in any way. He was ambushed. That's what the evidence will show. The defendant then just leaves. You'll see the video where the suspect gets back into the passenger side with Deke, and they take off and they go back to the defense, back to Reardon where he lives. When they the meantime, he tells you, defendant, he's upstairs, he's talking to Marva. So Marva's there when they get home. Heck, she's there when they leave. But she don't remember anything. I think he was there. That's what she's going to say. I think he was there. Did you see him at the time of the murder? Well, no. Did you see anybody else with him? No. So you'll see her on the stand. We're going to call her to the stand. She may not be super cooperative, but you'll hear from her. Deke's downstairs, defendant's upstairs with Marva. Within a few minutes, Deke will tell you that the defendant comes downstairs, changes his clothes. He puts the clothes in a trash bag. And then he says, come on, I'll take you home. At that point, the defendant drives. Crime's done. He's done. Evidence is in a bag. He will also tell you, even though he didn't see the gun before they left to go do the murder, when they come back and the defendant's changing and putting his clothes in the trash bag to get rid of the evidence, that he puts his gun on the sofa handle, like the arm of the sofa. And that's when he sees it. They leave the house, the defendant drives, you'll see some video on that. And instead of taking Deke home, the evidence will show that the defendant drove to a gas station to throw away the bag of evidence, clothing, mask, whatever he had in there. First gas station he goes to, the dumpster's locked. We have video. Second dumpster he drives to, the defendant drives to, a Marathon gas station, the dumpster's not locked. And he takes the trash bag, he gets rid of the evidence. And then he drives Deke home. It's done. And he probably would have got away with it. Probably would have got away with it. If Deke, if they had not forgot that mask, the evidence will show the only evidence that we ever linked to them to begin with, to where we get onto these two folks, is because we just happened to find the video of Deke going into the hide with the mask. And once they get a hold of Deke and identify him and bring him in, at first you're going to hear he doesn't want anything to do with it. He knows now this is serious. He's not going to say anything. I don't know anything. What are you talking about? You'll find out he's arrested that night for giving false statements to the police. They get him a lawyer. His lawyer talks to him. He says, this is what's going on here, fella. You either stick with your story, you're going to end up with a charge either way, or you can come in and tell me the truth, and maybe they'll give you some consideration. Maybe you won't both go down on this murder that he planned. He comes in with his lawyers the next day. You'll hear about something called a proffer. It's just a statement, just a fancy word for a statement that a witness or a suspect makes to a prosecutor and the police, hoping, if he tells the truth, that he'll get some consideration in this case. He does that. He lays it all out. And because he lays it out, the police are able to go back and then find these other videos once he tells them the route they took. Now they know, oh, he drove by Columbia Apartments. Let's go see if they have video. And they do. Oh, they drove by, the Metro PCS store, and they had video there. But before going to that gas station and us ID and D, because he's, known in the area, you might not be. So what evidence do we have that the defendant is the shooter? Because I'm telling you right now, you're not going to see the defendant on the video at the time of the incident. You're going to see the two suspects. You're going to see Deke go in the store as the driver. You'll know he's the driver, okay? And that the shooter's the passenger. But you won't be able to make out the faces on it. You're going to see the movements of the vehicle. You're going to see the suspect get out of the car, walk back to the house. You're going to see him kind of leave the scene. We know because, first of all, Deke tells us. And every single piece of evidence that they go to collect after his statement corroborates what he tells the police. When they get the video, when he tells them it's me and the defendant, he hasn't seen video yet. He hasn't. You'll hear that from the different locations we recovered video from. He doesn't know who has video other than the liquor store. The police go. The video we get doesn't show somebody else. In fact, the video we get does show the defendant getting rid of the evidence at the gas stations after. You're also going to hear from you're going to also hear from an intelligence analyst who works on Michigan State Police, Parker DeGree. he gets downloads of phones, we collect cell phones from everybody involved, and they download the contents of the phones. They're able to get iCloud information on the defendant. They're able to get text, but importantly, they're able to get GPS location stuff, data, called stuff, not super techy, but it's data. And they are able to put the defendant in his vehicle. No matter what Deke says, they're able to corroborate that the defendant went by and cased the victim's house, because he's got his phone at that time. And the GPS locator shows he's going by, casing the victim's house prior to picking up Deke. Way out of his way, coming from where everyone is. The GPS also corroborates that they left to go to get rid of the evidence. They left to go take Deke home. Now, the defendant is no dummy, and I'm not trying to be glib about that. The defendant appears to be an educated, well-spoken person. Okay? He leaves his phone at home during the murder. Doesn't take a genius to figure that out in this day and age, I would think, but he leaves his phone at home during the murder. He doesn't have a phone on him either. But we have no data from either one of them at the time to show where they were. He leaves his phone at home. You'll hear he gets onto a FaceTime. Maybe a half hour or more before the murder. Somebody. He leaves his phone at home with Marva. He goes and does this murder. Now, that FaceTime does not cover the whole murder. At the time of the murder, that FaceTime is done. The guy he's on the FaceTime with, the police go to talk to him and say, hey, well, did you actually see him, the defendant on the FaceTime prior to the murder, like maybe 20 minutes before the murder on this FaceTime? Was he really there? Or was it just his phone sitting there? He won't talk to us. Don't know nothing, don't want, no. You hear from the evidence, he never came forward to say he got the wrong guy. He never came forward to say, wait a minute, I was with him on FaceTime the whole time. Never happened. No evidence of that. But he tried to cover his tracks. He tried to make himself an alibi. That's what the evidence would show. So what happens after? What other evidence do you have? Well, after the crime, the next morning, the defendant flees the state, goes to Ohio. He tries to take Deke with him. He goes by his house that next morning, hey, you want to go with me? Deke will tell you, I'm not going anywhere. Deke will tell you he was afraid that, I know at that point he was going to murder, I'm the only witness. I'm not going with you. Now, he's not saying that to the defendant, but he will tell you that's why he didn't go. Defendant's out of town for a couple of days. In the meantime, detectives are collecting all this evidence they're getting from Deke. They're corroborating with video, they're corroborating with GPS location data. When the defendant comes back in town, he is stopped leaving his house, and he's brought in for questioning. At the same time, they execute a search warrant in his house. They don't find the murder weapon. You're not going to hear that. You're ready for that, based on voir dire. But what they do find is multiple boxes of different types of ammunition. All kinds. Hidden everywhere. Several magazines, clips for semi-automatic handguns. No guns. A gun box, no gun. Now this is, remember, we don't get in that house until I think the 22nd of December. So what? 3 days after the murder. We also find evidence there that Barbara was still standing there. Her bridge card is there, clothing's there, toys are there. When he comes in, he does make his rights are read to him. He waives those rights. He makes a recorded statement. You'll see it, you'll hear it. There may be some parts you'll see that are taken out. Those are only parts where there's just sitting there and there's no questioning. So I think we'll probably have a great maybe just hear the part where he's actually talking. But it's probably an hour long, I would say, maybe a little bit more. And when he comes in, he tells him, please, you're wasting my time with this. I'm here for this. I don't know anything about this. I had no problems with the guy, Julius. I don't have any guns at my house. I don't have any probably only because they tell him we got video and he knows he didn't get out of the car until that gas station, we got rid of the evidence. He admits to that part. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got me there. I did take Deke home that night. I was with Deke, but we stayed at the house the whole night. Deke might have left to get some beer on a quick beer run. That was it. Nobody else was with us. Nobody else was involved. We just were at the house watching football. Which, by the way, you'll hear, it's way before Monday Night Football starts. If you're a football fan, which I'm really not, I had to say, what time does that start? But it's way before 8 o'clock at night. He admits then to the gas station getting rid of the bag of trash. And you're like, it's 8 something at night by that point. Why would you be getting rid of trash at a gas station? Well, I'm going to leave town the next day, and I want the car to be cleaned for my dog. So, I got rid of the trash. You'll see him in the pictures. You'll hear from the police. You'll see it. There's a dumpster that they give you in the Heights, for your house, pick up, and probably everywhere. And one of those big green kind of trash cans or whatever. He could have thrown it away at home. 8:30 at night, taking Deke home. Minutes after the murder, he's getting rid of a bag of trash at a gas station. And by the way, he goes to one gas station, it's locked, and he goes to the other one and finally gets rid of it. What were you throwing away? Scrambling, I don't know, some old sweatpants and stuff. Well, people tried to take sweatpants on that night. And that's the clothes, part of the clothes he got rid of. After the murder, you'll hear, he deletes the FaceTime app from his phone. He doesn't even say anything to the police during that interview about his FaceTime alibi he set up, or what appeared to be a possible alibi. He didn't even mention it. That's because he doesn't cover the whole time of the murder. Who knows? Maybe he knows that this kid won't come in, this other guy he's talking to, supposed to be talking to, won't cooperate. You don't know. But he deletes it. Never mentions it to the police. He puts himself that night with Deke. But what he doesn't know at the time is that Deke's already told us what happened. After that, later in the investigation, I'm going to hear that 2 informants from the jail come forward. One's from Detroit, one's a local guy. They didn't know each other before being at the jail. They came separately to us. Ty Cullen was going to come forward. He's going to testify that he's in jail. He's been there for several years. He may have a record. Maybe he's been there 4 years, a long time. Usually in the jail you only stay, a year or less, and then you go to prison or you get out. He's been to this long because he's an interesting guy. You'll hear from him, you'll see him, you can evaluate him. He had a lawsuit with MDOC, and he got a lot of money, millions, at least $1 million. He's in for his own crimes. He's in for felonies. Not a murder, but serious felonies. And so over that 4-year period, while he's in jail, he's kind of known in the community. People talk to him. Defendant's one of them. He came forward and said, yeah, he was trying to get me to help him invest in his trucking company he's going to start. I didn't want to start. There's phone calls where the defendant talks about Ty and how he's going to work with me, he's going to give me some money to help finance his business. So he knows Fatai. You're not going to hear that Fatai is just some jail informant who doesn't even know the defendant. They talk all the time. You'll hear from the detectives they checked at the jail and that they had access to each other. They confirmed that. They would have been in the same pod for periods of time when Fatai comes forward. Now, Fatai has testified in other cases involving murders. You'll judge him. Like I said, he's kind of an interesting guy. And certainly, he's trying to get consideration on his charges. Now he's been in there for, like I said, 4 or 5 years. But that's what he's hoping not to go back to MDOC, not to go back to prison, finish his time. That's really what he's looking for. Have we promised that yet? No. We told him he needs to come in and testify truthfully. That's what they've all been told. The other guy that comes forward later is called Dondrell Thomas. He's from Detroit or out of town. He's an older gentleman. He's in for his own murder. He pled. Admitted, he pled guilty. He comes forward later and he tells us, let's talk about this. He probably doesn't think I'm a threat because I'm not even from here. And it's going to be hard to wrap your head around that people would confess to some of this stuff in jail. you make up your own mind. You'll evaluate both those folks. They'll come in and tell you that, you told them, yeah, this guy was screwing with my girlfriend, messing up our life, and let it confess to both of them. You'll also hear from Deke that when the defendant gets back in the car for the shooting, he doesn't see the shooting. He parks around the corner, right? So he's out of sight. When the defendant gets back in the car, Deke says, what happened? He said, he won't be bothering anybody anymore. Deke knew what that meant. After you hear all the evidence in this case, I know you're very attentive, and I sure appreciate that. After you hear all this evidence in the case, and the judge hears the law, I'm going to ask you to find him guilty of murder in the first degree, premeditated murder, for killing Julius Muhammad because he was a problem in his life. I'm also going to ask you for a guilty verdict on felon in possession of a firearm. I think the verdict stipulated he was a felon at the time, and we will prove that up. And he was not allowed to have weapons. And 2 counts of what's called felony firearm. In Michigan, anytime there's a crime committed with a firearm, you can charge something called felony firearm. You can commit the felony possession with a firearm, or the murder with a firearm, and that's what that charge is. You will have overwhelming evidence of premeditation in this case. You're just going to have to decide, do you have the right guy? Is he the shooter? And I hope that you listen closely to the evidence, and I think if you do, that you will come back with a verdict of guilty of all counts, and hope that you're not responsible for killing Julius Muhammad. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Maribel, would you like to make your opening statement now or reserve?
I would like to make it now, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. First, I would like to thank you for sitting on the jury. You was here all day yesterday. You had to come in today. You had to take days off. So I'd like to say thank you. This is a very important case. It's a very important case for my client, for the state, for his family. So thank you very much. You took an oath to listen to all the evidence, just not the prosecution, to listen to everything, to review everything. And I know that you're going to be good jurors, and you're going to look at everything. You remember that she has the burden to prove every element of her case. The burden is on the state. I could sit there and polish my nails, I won't, but I could. And, Now, the whole thing about her whole theory, and one of the things is the state doesn't have to prove a motive, but they have this motive. But I say that that's not a true motive. My client is a man, and he's in a relationship with multiple women. Marva was somebody he was in a relationship with, but he wasn't obsessed with her. It wasn't that he wanted them to be together and everything. He actually lived with a girlfriend, Precious, right? And Marva is in his house, and he lives with another woman. Now, is that conventional? Is that being a good man? No. But men have multiple women. At the time of the crime, he was on FaceTime. The majority of the crime, he's on FaceTime. There's very little time that he would have had time to drive over there and do all of that. The majority of the time, he's on FaceTime. And the prosecutor talks about him deleting FaceTime. Well, I think that that's the actions of an innocent man that doesn't understand what's going on. He's an older man in his 60s, technology, this and that. You're going to hear that he was on FaceTime with his nephew at the time. And the prosecution do try to go talk to the nephew. And the nephew is like, I want a lawyer there. They're scaring him. And the nephew now is currently in jail. The nephew had some other issues going on that's not related to this. So, of course, he's not going to talk to the police. So, let's go through it. The victim in this particular case. My client didn't have any interaction with him or any problem with him. They're not going going to show that they argue, they fuss. They're not going to show any text, anything. He didn't have any problem with it. The victim, she's gonna put on the text. The victim sends Marva some very nasty text where he talks about Marva kids and different things like that. And I understand that divorces do get nasty, and I did not know the victim, but looking at the text of this victim, he was not a very nice guy, because even if you have a problem with an individual who talks about other people's kids that are brothers and sisters of their child, just disgusting. But he doesn't, in the text, he is concerned about my client being around his son. And I think Marva makes it clear, and I think that she will make it clear, that Mr. Davis didn't babysit. He wasn't left alone with him. He wasn't a caregiver. It was them in a personal relationship. Because remember, Mr. Davis got a woman that he goes home to every night. So it's not like they are, that the young boy was being raised by Mr. Davis or anything. You're going to find also Mr. Myers, who the prosecution said he's an addict, he's a crackhead, been a crackhead for the majority of his dark life. He had some problems with the victim. The victim had owed him, I guess, the victim had ran for something here locally and had worked Mr. Moffitt and owned Mr. Moffitt, Deke, as they call him, so that we can, I'm going to use the same names that the prosecution used so that you don't get confused. Sometimes if you use the legal name, people be confused, like who was Mr. Moffitt? Deke. That Marva, who is going to say that Deke came by the house when she lived there threatening the victim because of the victim owing him money. I think that when you look at everything, and please look at everything, that you're going to find that my client did not commit this murder, because you cannot, your phone is a walking, talking GPS. It tells you where you're at, what you're doing. They have his phone, and when they ran it, he's on FaceTime through a lot of this crime. Not the whole time, but he's on FaceTime. So if you did try to map it out, it would have been impossible. Now, the prosecution's big thing is, well, why didn't they tell us he was on FaceTime at the time? Well, that would have been something positive, something probably being by the police, being questioned by the police. Was this something they didn't realize? But he knows they have a phone. Now, the prosecution talked about people going to Ohio. One of the other things that they failed to realize or failed to mention is he had some job opportunities in Ohio. He doesn't know that Mr. Muhammad has been murdered. He doesn't know that all of this has happened. So I'm going to go he gets up and takes care of his business like he would any other day. He was driving big trucks. Went to go talk to a company about a job in Ohio. And he's not on parole, probation. People can leave the state. That's not necessarily incriminating or with the state suspicious. People leave the state all the time for work. So, once again, you are the jury. That means that you decide what the facts are, who you're going to believe, what you're going to believe, how you're going to believe it. You decide. Not the prosecution, not me, not even the judge. You decide. But please, you took an oath. Look at everything. Think about how real unreasonable. Has the state proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt? A fair and honest doubt coming out of the evidence or lack of evidence? Thank you.
Thank you. And call your first witness.
The people call Angelique Pittman.
Saying it's not something off my phone, so it'll come eventually. I'd like you to consider right away.
Could have anything to do with supplement.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please have a seat, state your name for the record, you have to speak up.
Angelique Pittman.
Good morning, Ms. Pittman.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've met you before, I'm the prosecutor in the case.
Yes.
Tell the jury your name.
Angelique Pittman.
And how old are you?
I'm 26 years old.
And are you from the Grand Rapids? I'm from Grand Rapids. Are you from the Muskegon area?
Yes.
Okay. You born and raised here?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the defendant in this case, Glenn Davis?
No.
Have you ever met him before?
No, ma'am.
I'm going to direct your attention back to, it would have been December 19th of 2022. On that date, were you over at Julius Muhammad's home?
Correct. Yes.
The address is 2928 Baker. Does that sound right to you?
Correct.
And that's in Muskegon Heights,
Yes.
in Muskegon County?
Yes.
And did you live at the victim's address at that time?
No, ma'am.
How did you know Julius Muhammad?
We were friends.
And did you date him?
No.
Did you have a sexual relationship at some point, though?
Yes.
How long did you know him?
About 4 or 5 months.
And on this particular day, why were you at his home?
We were having dinner that day, and I was there.
Do you remember, I know it's been a while, do you remember about what time you would have got to his home on that day?
It was about, I'll say about like 4:30ish, around that time.
And did you go there by yourself or with somebody else?
I went there by myself.
Did you drive or did
I drove.
Who's at the house when you get to his home?
Mr. Julius and Kadir.
And you call him Mr. Julius, is that what you call him?
Yes.
I mean, who's Kadir?
His son.
I think he was about 9 years old at the time, does that sound right?
Yes.
What happens when you get there? Tell the jury.
When I got there, we started making dinner, and we sat at the dining table, me, Mr. Julius, and Kadir. We had dinner, and after we got done with dinner, Kadir was still at the dinner table playing on his phone, and me and Mr. Julius was up in the room talking.
And was Julius involved doing anything else while you were talking?
Yes, he was on his laptop. He was filing a complaint about his.
Your Honor, objection hearsay.
Because this is what she sees. This is not really out for the truth of the matter, sir. This is to show what she saw and what the victim was doing at the time.
How is it? I mean, she said he's on the computer. What's the relevance of him, what he's doing on the computer?
The relevance, Judge, is it shows motive in this case. He had warned Barr.
Your Honor, if she's going to argue in front of the jury, jury needs to be put there.
I've already said it in the opening.
Right, but she can't have hearsay brought in.
We approach
This
Judge.
officer, she's about to say hearsay.
Okay. She could, that's what she said. Okay. Overruled, go ahead.
What is he typing up?
He was typing up, for custody of Sabir.
And without telling us what he's told you, has he shared with you information about his concerns and why he's filing this motion?
Yes.
Is that the first you'd ever heard about his concerns, or have you talked about it prior to that?
He had talked about a private then, but that night that he was on the laptop, he had dropped Sabir off to her that week, and some altercation happened.
Objection, Yada.
Sustained.
You weren't there for that, correct?
No.
You just heard about it?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't talk about something that you heard about from someone else.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that you dropped off Sabir that night. Sabir was not there. That's the 2-year-old, right? With
Correct.
Marva?
Yes.
Did he was Sabir there at all when you were there that night? Was he there when you took him over to Marva?
No.
Okay. The only child there at the time of the murder was Kadir, the 9-year-old that he has with him, someone else.
Yes.
So you're up in the room, Kadir's, the 9-year-old's still down at the table, or
Yeah.
downstairs?
Yes.
Is this a 2-story or 1-story?
It's a 2-story, but he was in the dining room still at the table we were eating at. We was in the room, the nursery room, like across from the dining room.
And when you say nursery, is that where Kadir, where the kids would play?
No, that's the nursery. It was a nursery room, a baby room.
Oh, okay. And what was that for? Was there a baby other than,
Severe, that was his.
oh, I
Yeah.
see. So that's where Sabir would stay when he stayed with his dad.
Yes.
So what happens next? He's on the computer, you're talking, what happens next?
He was talking. It was a knock at the door. Kadir had said, Dad, someone knocking at the door. Mr.
Hold on.
Objection to what Kadir has said, because for hearsay.
Judge, it goes to affect the listener. He says that to his dad, his dad goes to the door.
Overruled.
You're saying Sabir, Kadir is there, right?
Kadir, yes.
So Kadir says, hey, Dad, someone's at the door?
Yes.
What happens next?
Mr. Julius get up and goes to the door. When he goes to the door, I hear him say, who is it? I didn't hear nobody else say nothing. At that point, it was 3 gunshots went off. And I didn't hear nobody say help, scream my name or nothing. So Kadir started crying. He said, my dad, my dad. And I went out there into the living room. I grabbed Kadir. I took him upstairs to his room, and I called 911. When I put him upstairs, I walked back downstairs while I was on the phone with 911. And I walked up on the porch, and there was Mr. Julius laying there.
And what did you see?
I seen Mr. Julius laying there, hunched out the window with one of his eyes missing. He was just laying there.
Did you touch him? Did you try to revive him, anything like that?
I didn't touch him. I didn't do nothing. I walked back the other way, and I flagged down the police when they were coming.
Could you tell if he was still conscious, or did he say anything?
He didn't say nothing. It was silent, so, I didn't touch him or nothing, or anything.
Did you see whether or not Kadir saw his dad in that condition?
Your objection, Your Honor.
I said, did you see whether you saw? Go ahead, Judge.
What's the she said that she took the child upstairs, then went outside, so,
Well, the relevance is, where was the child when she took him upstairs? That's all I'm asking.
That's already been answered.
okay.
He's upstairs.
All right, I'll overrule where she's seen him at.
Where did you see, when you hear the shots, do you see Kadir?
Yes, Kadir was in the dining room at the table still.
And at any time, do you see Kadir go by where his dad is shot?
No, he stayed right there. He was screaming.
From the dining room, can you see
From like the dining room, you could see like onto the porch.
You can.
But the way he was over, so he didn't see him actually get, hit, but he heard the shots.
Did you go out to the porch where Julius was? Or could you see that he had been
I had
shot?
to go onto the porch to see that he was shot.
And then you called 911?
Yes.
How long did it take him to respond?
The police,
Yeah.
they got there as soon as possible. It was only down the street.
Did you leave Kadir in the house when you went out to flag them down?
I still was inside the house. I had to put the door open and my hand was out because like he was still looking for the house
Okay, for the record, you're demonstrating, you're like waving the officer.
to come.
What happens next?
The officer get there and they had us to step back and they did their part and I went down to the detectives.
Did the police separate you and Kadir from the scene, the actual
Yes.
murder scene? Do you see anyone coming or going at the house that night while you're there, prior to the murder? Do you see anyone coming or going
No,
other than the three of you?
no,
Do you remember whether or not Julius got any calls that night prior to the shooting?
he did. Yes,
Without telling us what was said, did you recognize the voice? Could you hear the voices of the people he was talking to?
his daughter, she,
Did you recognize her voice?
yes.
Was she on the speaker or did you just hear it through his phone?
I could hear it through her phone, his phone.
And who was he talking to?
Ashia,
Had you met her before?
yes,
Okay, so you heard her talk before.
yes.
How long before the shooting, approximately, I'm not asking you exactly, but approximately how long before the shooting was he talking to his daughter, she on the phone?
Okay, he was talking to Ashia on the phone and then like 5 minutes after that, this happened.
Was Julius expecting anyone to come to the house that night?
No,
Were you planning on staying the night that night? Or
no, I was actually about to get ready to leave before it happened. But it was just like something was telling me to like just stay for a little longer. And I ended up just staying for a little longer, and then that happened.
And at that time, I'm not going to be too personal, but at that time you were pregnant with his child, is that fair?
Correct.
All right. The police were you cooperative with the police?
Yes.
How were you acting?
I was nervous, I was confused, and lost. Because I didn't know what was going on at the time.
Did more police arrive?
Yes.
And did you see them take Julius away or not?
No.
Why weren't you able to see what was going on if you were still there?
Because they had us out the way, and then I was gone already down to the thing. So I didn't even know he was dead. Because they didn't say, they were saying he had a pulse. So I didn't even know he was dead.
Can you slow down a little? I want you to get your voice all the way to me, that's why I stand way back here, because I want everyone in these jurors to hear me, okay?
Okay.
All right. Keep your voice up for me, all right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so when the police arrived, they talked to you briefly and asked you what happened?
Yes.
Then I think you said that they put you away. Did they put you and Kadir somewhere else so you wouldn't be around the scene?
Yes, we were upstairs.
Okay. At some point, they let you leave?
Yes.
Was Julia still there at that time?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I had to go to the police station.
And did someone take you there or you just drive there?
I got drove there.
Who drove you there?
My cousin.
You said something about going down the street. Did you go down the street to some relative's house?
No,
You said you went somewhere. Just,
that was to the police station.
okay. And was Kadir still there, the 9-year-old, when you left?
He left with Ashia. He left before me.
So at some point, it sounds like she had showed up.
Yes,
You were there when she showed up?
yes,
And she took Kadir with her?
yes.
And so they're really like half-brother and sister, aren't they?
Objection, Your Honor, they asked for her to speculate. They asked for a foundation. They asked for a foundation.
I'll break it down there.
Thank you.
Do you know whether or not Kadir and she are related?
They are. That's her brother, and she's his sister, that's Julie's daughter.
She is much older than.
Kadir, yes.
You go to the police station, do they question you there?
Yes.
At some point, you go to the hospital.
No.
Where do you go when you're done at the police department?
Home.
And do you ever go back to Joyce's house as seen on that night?
No.
Do you ever go back there after that?
No.
That's the last time you were there.
Yes.
So go with your eye. Um, You have nothing further this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. What we're gonna do, before, I have you cross-examine Ms. Maribel, as the jury's been here a pretty long time. I'm gonna give them their, since we're gonna start with you, I'm gonna give them their 15-minute morning break, so that they can use the restroom or stretch their legs. What we will do is come back at 5:02. 11, and make sure that you do not discuss this amongst yourself or when anyone else. Do not discuss it with any third party. Do not look at any media. Do not look at any social media. Anything before I release the jury for their break?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Maribel.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please rise. You may be seated. Anything before we take our break?
No, just if the witness can be determined not to talk to any during the break.
Anything before we break?
No, no, Your Honor.
You are still, you're going to still be under oath. Please don't discuss with anybody about your testimony at this time. And then we'll have you come back at 5:02.
Then you'll be
Yeah.
done. Then you'll be done.
I got my baby, I gotta go home. I
Have you taken your wife?
ain't gonna be there this far.
Great.
Off the record.
I know you know. The next one is going to be video. Yes, after you see what the victim's located and stuff. And then we'll, go through the pictures. Okay?
And you're gonna just tell me numbers and they're all matched up.
You know, I think on those pictures, I may have, hold on, I may have had the sequence all in one. I think the scene pictures are all in one exhibit, under exhibit 8. And then they just roll through, you know what I mean? Like a scan. Yeah, I'll tell you the numbers. But I think, you can check, but I think all 8 are scanned under 8. I'm gonna put them in numerical order, but I don't know how to do that next. Aren't you impressed that he's got them on there? Yes.
They're not in numerical order, but.
Yeah, do you know how to do that? I didn't know how to move them around in the file.
I can reorganize them. but
Well, if it
I
helps
don't-
you, I just don't want to delete anything, I don't know how to do that. I'm just pretty impressed I got them all in there. You just did it? How'd you do it?
You just click, instead of by date modified, you click on word name, and then reorganize it by the name, so that they're out there. But the seat?
Should be right up here on the judges.
I think.
Is anyone taller than me?
So? See it?
Just saying for now, just shove it all the way in and then pull it out when you're ready, when you get people seated. Is anybody gonna? Okay, that should do.
If anybody's taller than 6'1" I might connect to it too.
Yeah, go ahead and. By the way, you wanna move that over here?
No,
Cause that's where it's designed to be put in here.
is it? I just want to do that.
What I'm saying is, I can't hear her on the recording back there when she's standing back there asking questions.
Oh,
Very, barely hear her, so she's gonna have to,
she's gonna have to move somewhere else.
she's, well, either that or speak up,
Okay.
or,
Yeah, let's move that. Can we move that? Just not move. For now.
Please be seated.
We are back on the record. Anything before I bring the jury in?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
She asked if there's anything we have to do.
No, Your Honor,
Oh.
no, I'm sorry. I
Okay.
was talking to my client, I'm sorry.
All right, and where is the witness back in?
Yeah, she's right here. So yeah, you can go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, please rise. Bring the jury in. You may be seated. I want to remind you that you are still under oath, all right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Maribel, witness to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Pittman. My name is Attorney Carla Marable, and I have a few questions to ask. Anything you don't understand, say you don't understand, and I will try to clarify, okay? Now, in direct examination between the prosecutor was talking to you, did you say that you were not in a sexual relationship with Julius,
Yes,
but you were pregnant by him?
yes.
Okay. I'm confused of how do you have a sexual relationship with someone and get pregnant? How do you not have a sexual relationship with someone, but you get pregnant by them?
Friends with benefits.
I'm sorry, what?
Friends with benefits.
Okay, so you misunderstood the question. You were sexually active with him, but y'all were not in a relationship.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So that wasn't you trying to be untruthful. You really just didn't understand the relation. You didn't understand the question.
Correct.
Okay. So you were in a sexual relationship with him, but y'all wasn't in a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship.
Correct.
Okay. Because in your statement, you're at the house and you talk to the police, correct? And you say that you and him are in the baby room talking about
The baby situation.
the baby situation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're 26, right?
Correct.
So, even though you're in a sexual relationship with him, you call him Mr. Julius?
Yes.
Okay. And do you call him that because he's so much older than you, because he's at least,
Excuse me, objection, Your Honor. What is the relevance of that?
What is the
Your
relevance?
Honor, she went into, okay, so the prosecution went into their relationship, and I'm just clarifying their relationship. The prosecutor asked why she was there, what was it, was it a sexual relationship, were they expecting a baby? I'm clarifying. Now, if she wants the jury to be confused about all of this, that's fine.
Judge, I just don't think it's fair to judge her. That's what she's doing.
I'm not judging her.
All right.
I asked,
Hold on,
It's irrelevant. That's my objection.
hold on. Is it relevant how much older one is than the other? No, it's not. She has established that they don't have a relationship, they only have sex, and that she is pregnant with his child.
okay, and I shall move on.
Thank
Okay, so now, at the time that you're there, you're there to have dinner, correct?
Yes.
Now, there's a time when he talks to his daughter, correct?
Yes.
And in talking to his daughter, is that a friendly conversation? Is it, does it seem like he's stressful? Tell me about the conversation. First of all, how long was the conversation that he's talking to his daughter?
About probably 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
And then
And the daughter name is
Ashia.
Ashia. Okay. And they're talking about her son, correct?
Correct.
And her son, father.
Objection, Your Honor. This is classic hearsay.
No.
What, excuse me, let me finish my objection, counsel. She's asking what she heard Ashia saying to her dad on the phone.
I didn't ask that question. She can say, I haven't asked her to say hearsay. If the question was, she's talking with her dad, she said for 20 minutes, she's talking about the son. It's a yes or no question. I never asked what did she say. If I asked what she said, then that's hearsay. But I find it ironic that you're asking that
Judge,
when
could
you
you direct her to
yourself.
not direct things to me and direct to the court, please?
Yes. I didn't ask for hearsay. If I could finish my examination and finish the question in full, then there could be maybe a proper objection, but I hadn't even finished the question.
I'm gonna overrule, at this time because she didn't ask specifically what the daughter was saying. Just, it was about the daughter's son, but she didn't ask what was said. So at this time, I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, in the conversation, because you're there in the room, correct?
Right.
It's 20 minutes.
Yes.
Okay? And what's his mood? Does he seem like it's a happy conversation? Is it a, stressful conversation? What's the mood?
A little stressful.
Stressful, okay. And the conversation from listening to it, it deals with his daughter and her baby father, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know what the baby father name is?
No.
Okay. Now, you and Mr. Julius was in a relationship. Had he talked to you about her baby father?
No.
Okay. But did you get the sense in this conversation he was talking to his daughter about things dealing with her baby father?
Yes.
And you heard that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you and him are upstairs, y'all talking about y'all particular situation, and there's a knock at the door.
Correct.
Okay. You stay upstairs, correct?
No, it's upstairs. We were still upstairs.
Okay.
But, yeah, when it was a knock at the door, he went to the door.
Okay, and you stay upstairs.
In the room. I stayed in that room.
Okay, you stayed in the room. So there's a knock on the door. So at the time that the knock is on the door, and if I'm wrong, correct me, the door is downstairs on the first floor. The bedroom is upstairs on the second floor, correct?
Everything is upstairs.
Every-
Downstairs is where he lived. His room is. So
Okay.
upstairs, yeah.
Okay,
So the upstairs is where you go out the front door and everything.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. So you're in the room and you hear a knock at the door, correct? And you hear this knock at the door after he's off the phone with his daughter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's about how long after he's off the phone with his daughter?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. And because the two were so, at that particular time, your mindset was, this was important for you to tell the police, because you tell the police that you think that phone call has something.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm telling what she said.
Hold on,
My objection,
Ms.
counsel.
Maribel, hold on.
Your Honor, my objection is that she's asking for what she thinks, her opinion about what she heard or saw. That's irrelevant. She can only testify to what she saw and what she heard.
Okay.
She can't say, yeah, I think that so-and-so is right, I think so-and-so is right. That's irrelevant. It's up to the jury to decide that.
Okay. It is up to the,
Judge, please respond first.
okay. I am responding. I was trying to respond. It is up to the jury. The jury is the ultimate trier of fact. But her state of mind is important. And this is what this question is. Her state of mind.
So you're asking her
Because she
what,
makes a statement, and so I can get it in this way, I can go over her statement the long way. Her state of mind is what I'm asking. Because in her statement, she says,
Objection, do not, please, put in what's in her statement, because
Yes.
you know what's in the statement, doesn't make it relevant or admissible.
but I able to ask her and question her, a person's state of mind, why she did something is important. Everybody's, the objection.
hold on 1 minute. We can ask, are you saying she's not, Ms. Maribel's not allowed to ask her what her statement, if she made this statement to the police? Is that what you're saying?
That's not the question that was posed. Judge, my objection is on the question that was posed. She asked, didn't you think blah? Didn't you think blank? She cannot ask her what she thought about the situation, or who she thought was involved or not involved. That is irrelevant.
What do you want me to
Okay,
do?
hold on,
So
Ms.
is her
Maribel.
state of mind. This witness's state of mind is not relevant to any element of the case.
All right. So what she thought is different than you asking her, didn't you say this or this or this to the police?
And I did say that, Your Honor.
You asked her what she was thinking
Okay.
when she made a statement. So I'm going to sustain the objection because what she was thinking is not relevant. Go
I'm
ahead.
going to rephrase the question.
Go ahead.
You made a statement to the police, correct? Because it was very important for you to get everything that happened out, correct?
Yes.
And in that particular statement that you made to the police,
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
Ma- We need to, go ahead and step back. We're gonna let the jury, we're gonna take a minute, I'm gonna have the jury go out, please rise. You may be seated. Your objection?
Yes, Your Honor. My objection is to getting into evidence, asking this witness anything about what she told the police who she thought might be involved. First of all, Judge, it's hearsay. Even for classic hearsay, if a witness is on the stand, anything they've said outside of court, even the witness on the stand, is still hearsay if you're offering for the truth. She's offering for the truth to show that she thought maybe if she was boyfriend or she was involved in this case. You can't do that. The rule says that's hearsay. Anything this witness says out of court is hearsay.
That's not true. Not anything this witness says out of court is not hearsay. Has to be offered for the truth of the matter is.
She suspects this other guy. Who she suspects is completely irrelevant, Judge. You can't separate the two. One, it's hearsay. Second, it's irrelevant. What she thinks, how is it relevant, Judge? Who she thinks it is. How is that relevant?
Response?
so the prosecution has put on a witness. It's not my witness. The prosecution put on a witness. This witness has made a police report. I'm not able to question the witness on the police report. So I don't understand. It's not hearsay, it's what she actually said. I'm not arguing that was what it is. For me to argue that, I have to prove a lot more. I'm just questioning her on her statement.
Yeah, it seems like we have an issue on what's hearsay and what's not hearsay. Hearsay can be a statement that is made from the witness themselves. It is an out-of-court statement. It's being offered as the truth of the matter asserted. Is it hearsay? Is it her statement that was offered out of court? Yes. So could it be hearsay? Yes, it could be. What is it being offered for, I have to look at. In this situation, the witness is being questioned about statements that she made, about what happened that night, statements she made, what she said to the police. It's not offered for the truth that that's the person that actually committed the crime. It's offered because this is what her statement was to the police. Whether it's true or not is not the issue in this case. It's what she said, yes, this is what I told the police. So I'm going to overrule your objection. It's going to go ahead and come in, and you can ask the question. Anything further before I bring the jury back in?
So is it the court's ruling that anything anyone says to the police is admissible if they're a witness?
Did I say that?
mean,
I don't
just
think I
asking.
said that, so no.
Thank you, Judge.
Can we bring the jury back in, please? You may be seated. Go ahead.
Ms. Pittman, the night of the incident, you make a statement to the police, correct?
Yes,
And are you trying to be honest and tell everything that happened to the police?
yes,
Okay. Now, in your statement, you talk about this phone call, correct?
yes,
And you say that the knock on the door came after the phone call, correct? And for some reason, you think that the two were related, correct? The phone call and the knock at the door.
yes,
And the phone call was dealing with Mr. Julia's daughter, baby father, correct?
correct,
Okay. And you wanted to make sure that the police had that information
yes.
because you had knowledge that. Okay,
We don't need to go into anything else.
Okay.
That's,
okay. Now, by you being there and having, there's other things that you put in your statement, correct? About the daughter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in your own words, why was it important to you to put the information about the daughter and her baby father? Why was that important to you?
Because I never knew nothing about the other man.
Okay. But you wanted the police to have this information?
Yes,
Okay. Now, you hear there's 3 knocks and you hear, there's knocks.
it's a knock, just
And you
one knock.
hear that. But you never see the person that shot, correct?
No,
And you don't know who, you don't see it or you don't hear any conversation, correct? Okay. But there was something about a black car leaving.
Objection, Your Honor. There is no information from this witness that she ever told the police that. There may be
Okay.
information from other witnesses, but not this witness.
And if you could let me ask the question, right? The particular day the youth was there, what was his name?
could you?
Kadir, okay. Kadir, now the prosecution went into a lot of detail about where was he at and what did he see. You don't know what did he see, correct? Okay.
can you speak up just a little bit? I'm up here and having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. But you yourself didn't see any car leave?
No.
Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you. Any follow-up with this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, and you may be excused. You can call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. You can call Officer Troy Bloomer. Thank you, ma'am.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat, state your name for the record.
I'm Officer Troy Bloomer.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I move the microphone over here so we can get me on the recording. Would that be okay?
What's that now?
Would it be okay if I move the microphone over it so you can hear me? Is that all right? And if I put it back?
Yeah,
Is that what-
Will it reach?
yep, Mike, we're trying to go over there.
I'm just on the desk. I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Okay, yeah, but there's also a mic right there.
Oh. So if I stand back there and be loud, will it pick me up, okay?
Oh, yeah, there's mics
Oh,
on,
okay.
you're all set.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, we're
Stand back.
mic'd all over the place, so you're good.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Tell the jurors who you are.
Good morning, Jerry. I'm Officer Troy Bloomer. Time of the incident, I was an officer for the Muskegon Heights Police Department.
And what are you doing now?
I'm an officer for the Grand Rapids Police Department.
And how long were you with Muskegon Heights?
I was an officer for the Muskegon Heights Police Department for about 2.5 years.
And what was your assignment?
My assignment for the Muskegon Heights Police Department was just road patrol officer, day-to-day tasks.
I'm going to direct your attention back to, it would have been December 19th of 2022. On that date, in the early evening hours, you received a dispatch for possible shots fired.
Yes, ma'am. A shots fired call in the area of Broadway Street and East Summit Avenue.
Now, do you remember where you were located at that time?
Yep. Around that time, I was in the area of West Broadway Avenue and Sanford Street when I recall hearing about 2 to 3 gunshots. Shortly after, I can't recall how long after, but soon after hearing the gunshots, received a dispatch to the area of Baker Street and East Summit Avenue for sounds of gunshots.
And were you in a vehicle by yourself or with another officer?
I was in a marked patrol car just by myself.
In uniform?
Yep.
Approximately how long did it take you to get to where you were at when you got the dispatch and heard the shots to the scene? Distance-wise or time-wise?
Given the road conditions that night with it being pretty snowy out, I would say maybe 2 to 3 minutes just with safe travels.
Can you describe the general area for the jurors if they're not familiar with that particular location? We're talking about, I forget the address, is it 2928 Baker, that's where the call was to, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe that general area for jurors who are not familiar with that area?
So this area of Muskegon Heights, the 2900 block of Baker Street is a residential area. Primarily housing on the east side of the road. There's some houses on the west side of the road, and then you have an apartment complex just before you reach the rest of the housing area on the west or the south side of Baker Street.
Do you remember what that apartment complex is called?
It is the Columbia Court apartment complex.
You drive over to that area, and what happens when you get by the house?
So as I'm driving in the area in a marked patrol car, I hear screaming and yelling. I exit my patrol car and am waved down by the victim's dead girlfriend, Miss Pittman. As I exit my patrol car, she is telling me,
Yeah, objection, Your Honor. Hearsay of what she's telling him.
I agree, normally it would be hearsay, except that all I'm offering for is to show what you did next, the effect on the listener.
I'll overrule. It's what he did next in his investigation.
So what did she say?
from what I recall, recall Ms. Pittman saying someone was shot at the residence. I notified Muskegon County Dispatch that someone was shot at the residence, and went up to the front door and located the victim, Julius Muhammad. If you're facing the house, which is east, you go in to the house, and directly south or to your right at the first window is where Julius was located.
And at the time, did you have body camera on you?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it activated as a result of this call?
Yes, ma'am.
What activates the body camera? It's not on all the time, is it?
No, so under the policy for Muskegon Heights, or with the Muskegon Heights Police Department, we have to activate our body camera for any call for service, or if it's just a spur of the moment kind of incident, or if we're on a traffic stop, such thing. So when I heard the screaming, that's when I believe is when I activated the body camera, which my body camera is located on my chest right here, and you have to hit the button in the middle once, and that's what activates the body camera.
And you did that in this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you viewed the body camera since the incident?
Yes, ma'am.
And does it fairly accurately depict what you saw, the position of the body, where the victim was located, all those things?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it, were you at the scene when the body was removed from the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
So there are no photographs of the location, position of the body?
No, the photographs of the incident or the scene were taken after Julius's body was taken to Trinity Hospital.
At this time, I move for admission of what we marked as People's Exhibits 7, Officer Blumer's body cam footage at this time.
Any objection?
I don't have any objection to his body cam footage.
All right, so this would be People's 7, you said?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it's the body cam? Now, is there audio on the body cam?
There is, Your Honor.
All right, so do the parties agree that the transcriptionist does not have to transcribe what they hear on the body cam because that evidence speaks for itself?
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
agree with that, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, so People's Exhibit 7 will be admitted.
And if it's all right with counsel, that would propose counsel, I only plan on playing the first half up to where they find the body, not the entire investigation, unless you want the whole thing played.
No, that's it. But this is the first exhibit, but it's number 7, correct?
Yes, they're marked, we were supposed to have another witness here first.
Okay,
He's not
okay,
available.
I understand now,
Thank you. Do you have the
I
exhibit
thought I
list?
said 7 now.
Do you have the exhibit list, counsel? I don't know.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Is it admitted, Your Honor?
It is.
Thank you. Could we play that portion of the body camera then?
You may.
Thank you.
Does the lights need to be on?
They do, Judge.
I don't know if I have them.
You're not in your court.
I'm
Oh,
not-
there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
It's 7-Eleven, I got somebody saying they got a GSW. What's your address? It's gonna be right in front of my car. It's gonna be a GSW to the left side. Can you get back there, please, okay? Subject's gonna be unresponsive. Start more units and fire, please. Subject seems clear. Do you know him? Do you know him?
Yes, I know.
Okay, what's his
His
name?
name is Julius Muhammad.
Julius Muhammad?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to stay in the kitchen, we have more units coming, okay? There's no firearms, nobody else injured in the house. What happened?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know what happened?
In here, Dad done eating dinner.
What's his relation to you?
This is a friend.
A friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. What's this address?
This is his.
What, do you know what this address is?
I don't.
No? Okay. If you want to stay in the kitchen, I'm going to get the address.
Please.
What's this address? No, we can't go inside. We can't go inside. We can't go inside. You're gonna have to wait in the car. What's this address? What's this address? Ma'am, what's the address? We can't go inside. We can't, ma'am, we can't go inside. 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 Get inside. I get it. Go inside. We can't go inside. We can't go inside. What's this address? What's this address? You're gonna go in handcuffs. Stop. Stop. He's got a GSW the eye. He's gone. Stop.
No.
People in the house. A woman and a
Okay, can I
child.
go get my brother?
They're gonna come outside. They're coming outside. They're coming outside. They are coming outside.
No!
What's the address?
Fucking kidding
What's this
me,
address?
right? Oh,
What's this address one more
God.
time?
No! What the
What's
fuck?
the address?
Oh my God!
So, well, I'm still working on getting an address. What's the address?
2928 Baker.
2928?
Oh,
It's gonna be 2928 Baker.
fuck!
2928, Scott. We can't go inside, okay? We can't go inside. Can you go back by the car, please? Go back by the car, please. We can't go in.
What the fuck, bro? Oh my God!
He's right there. He's
Fuck!
to the left side.
No!
We can't go inside.
Please!
We can't go inside.
This is my daddy, bro!
Can't go inside.
This is my
I
daddy!
understand. Come here. Come here. Go back this way. Go back like that.
Oh my God!
Officer, do you go back inside so we can see better where the position of the body, or is that the extent of your involvement with the victim?
I believe that was the extent of the involvement.
Okay, we can stop here then.
Thank you.
Okay, so, fair to say, pretty emotional.
Very.
So what do you end up doing then? If you go back inside at that point,
I'm trying to console his daughter at that time.
and other officers arrive to help you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do other officers deal with, you know, the scene inside?
Yes, ma'am. Sergeant Reindress and Officer Everson dealt with the scene inside the residence.
What do you do next, once you, get these folks calm down or away from the immediate area, what do you do next?
At the time, I believe I began taping off the scene with crime scene tape, yellow crime scene tape. And the area began to be searched by the Detective Bureau for more evidence for the case.
And as a detective, I think they hand you a metal detector and ask you to start looking for any bullets or.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Sustained.
It's leading up, just thought we'd shorten it up. You help look for evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell them what you do.
I began placing yellow evidence placards for the Detective Bureau. When they found casings or anything that would be marked for evidence-seeking purposes, I just place a marker next to it.
And is it, were there 2 shell casings found at the scene, or do you know?
I believe there were 2 shell casings found on scene.
Do you search the inside the house at any time?
I do not recall searching inside the house aside from just the general area of where Julius was located. From what I recall, the furthest I went into